5 years after the murders and 3 years since being convicted of murdering his wife and son, Alec Murdaugh is now in line to get a new trial.
The disgraced lawyer got that news today through an opinion from the South Carolina Supreme Court. In that 27-page decision, the justices pointed directly at Clerk of Court Becky Hill as the reason the verdict would be thrown out. In the first paragraph of the opinion, they write that Colleton County Clerk of Court Rebecca Hill placed her fingers on the scales of justice, thereby denying Murdaugh his right to a fair trial by an impartial jury. Hill was writing a book about the high-profile case and is accused of trying to taint the jury with comments about Alec Murdaugh and the defense's truthfulness. Specifics brought up by Murdaugh's defense team at the hearing back in February.
She explained she had a financial incentive for a guilty verdict. She also made comments to her like, "Don't be fooled by the evidence presented by Mr. Murdaugh's lawyer. Watch him closely. Just before he testifies, look at his actions, look at his movements." Identical to the statements that I'm going to read you in just a moment by the jurors as they were questioned.
Different jurors testified about what Hill said and that it did or would have affected their verdict. The court had a mixed decision on those financial crimes evidence, which the defense said also negatively affected the jury and shouldn't have been allowed. It actually ruled that some of the testimony about the millions that Murdaugh stole from his clients did go too far, but believed Hill's testimony was too much for prosecutors to overcome to keep the guilty verdict. Now, Murdaugh's attorney said the Supreme Court, quote, proved the rule of law is strong in South Carolina, adding that the court found that Becky Hill's conduct during the trial attacked Alec Murdaugh's credibility and his defense. The court rightly described her conduct as breathtaking, disgraceful, and unprecedented in South Carolina. Now, they added that we look forward to a new trial conducted consistent with the Constitution and the guidance this court has provided. And South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson, whose office prosecuted this case, said in a statement they will retry Murdaugh. Quote, "Let me be clear, this decision does not mean Murdaugh will be released. He will remain in prison for his financial crimes. No one is above the law. And as always, we will continue fighting for justice." Well, Murdaugh is in jail in South Carolina right now for 27 years on financial crimes charges. He was also sentenced to 40 years in federal prison for those millions he stole from his clients. Coming up at 5, we're going to hear from the lawyer who represents the 2 jurors at the center of this case, while his clients feel vindicated by the decision. Now, you can see all our previous stories on this month's and years-long process on our website, WSCV.com/Murdaugh Appeal.
And just into the WSCV newsroom, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is calling a special session for redistricting to begin on June 17th. This would be to change the maps for the state Senate and House of Representatives, as well as U.S. House districts. The order comes in response to a recent ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court weakening the Voting Rights Act. In addition, the session will also have lawmakers work on changes to the state's electoral and ballot process in response to a 2024 law about paper ballots and QR codes. Meanwhile, South Carolina's Governor Henry McMaster will reportedly call for a special session tomorrow so lawmakers can redraw the state's congressional districts. The state Senate narrowly defeated the effort to launch a special session yesterday. Congresswoman Nancy Mace pointed out this morning that McMaster may have to call a special session because the state legislature has not passed a budget yet. She says she's since been informed that McMaster will call for a special session at 5:01 p.m. tomorrow, right after the current session adjourns.
Well, some residents in Glenville are calling for the mayor and 3 council members to resign after a video of them discussing city business and insulting a colleague after a public meeting ended. Now, what was said in that video has angered many in the community, and while others are just calling it a violation of the law. WSCV's Sarah Smith is in Glenville with more reaction.
Not only did the mayor and 3 city council members appear to discuss city business outside an open public meeting, but they also were referring to residents and business owners in a derogatory way.
Gypsy Bear was here. No, he's not a terrorist. Do you think if we hit him with the holy water, he'd melt a little?
Here you see just a snippet of the discussion between Mayor Bernie Weaver and 3 city council members, Tammy Waters, Mark Nobles, and Greg Yanachek, after the public meeting adjourned. The discussion behind closed doors, some calling it shocking and a violation of the city charter and Georgia code. Councilwoman Cynthia Miller was not present, but she was a topic of conversation. The 3 men specifically discussing how she can't be a Christian while doing business with people of a different faith, the mayor naming Zubair Malik, a well-known businessman, referring to him as a terrorist.
All I see is a pure hate and ignorance. It's just insulting people.
The City Ethics Committee is meeting for the first time ever tomorrow evening at 5:30. I'm told they plan to discuss this video soon with the new city attorney. I did reach out to the mayor and all city council members for comment on residents' concerns, but I haven't heard back. In Glenville, I'm Sarah Smith, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Jasper County Sheriff's Office has now made an arrest after the body of a teenager was found near a roadway. Now, we've been telling you how deputies were called to an area of Alligator Alley, which is right on State Route 170 on Saturday. That's where they found the body of 19-year-old Aviana Moore. After an extensive investigation, sheriff's deputies arrested 52-year-old Donald Smith Jr. and have charged him with murder. No word yet on a possible motive. Smith currently being held at the Jasper County Detention Center.
The Housing Authority of Savannah facing heated pushback today over the future of Yamacraw Village. Supporters of Yamacraw residents say their biggest concern is whether promises made by the Housing Authority will actually be enforced as redevelopment moves forward. Advocates say they want written agreements guaranteeing residents' right to return and protections during relocation. They also criticize the timing of the meeting, saying many residents were unable to attend because it was held in the middle of the workday.
Housing Authority of Savannah continues to not agree to put their commitments into a legally binding agreement, meaning at this point the Housing Authority could change their mind in a month, in a year, and residents would have no legal recourse to make sure that the promises that they've been told actually come to fruition.
The Housing Authority says it has formally committed through housing urban development documentation to preserving affordable housing. It says eligible Yamacraw residents will have a primary right to return to the redeveloped community.
There are new complaints tonight about a Savannah apartment complex that we first told you about problems at Savannah Summit last November. Recently, residents reached out to WSAV to say they didn't have hot water for weeks. Luckily, that hot water has still been restored, but WSAV's Isley Herschel sat down with one resident who still got some concerns.
Paul Johnson is one resident who's lived in the building for over a decade. He says this is not a new situation for the building. He tells me this is the 6th time the building was unable to provide its residents with hot water. Johnson says it was aggravating, and he says he was forced to boil water until it was restored. 5th District Alderwoman Estella Shabazz says she too has heard these complaints over the years. It's something she says the city is continuing to monitor and keep track of.
My constituents being out of hot water for almost 3 weeks is uncalled for. The city of Savannah, we will not stand for the quality of life for our citizens, for our constituents to live like that.
Now, we first told you about residents' complaints at the Summit Apartments back in November of 2025. We contacted the Savannah Summit management team for a comment today, and they told me a new circulating pump was installed on May 8th. The rest of their statement said, "We regret any inconvenience this has caused and have been working diligently with the local vendor to resolve this issue since it was reported. The safety and comfort of our residents are important to us, and we will continue to monitor the new system to ensure it's functioning efficiently and reliably," end quote. Alderwoman Shabazz tells me there is a court hearing that happened at 2 p.m. today to discuss these issues with the apartment complex's management. We're going to keep you updated both on air and online as we get more information on what happened in court. Isley Herschel, WSAV News 3, on your side.
All right, Isley, thank you. Just 2 days left in this bonus prize week in the St. Jude Dream Home campaign.
So you got to get your ticket by Friday night to have a chance to win that $5,000 Visa gift card. At the same time, we're learning more about the features of the grand prize today. Well, that's where we join our own Ben Singer now live from the house. Ben?
All right, guys, thank you so much. And yes, in addition to the bonus prize deadline on Friday, we're really in the home stretch of this whole campaign because we are going to give this baby away on June 2nd, live on WSAV News 3 at 6 o'clock, and we are fewer than 2,000 tickets to go. So this is the time of the campaign where people start to think, I might be missing out. I better buy something. This is James with Landmark 24 Homes. The home is done. It's so beautiful. Yes, we're starting in the garage today because you all don't leave a stone unturned. You're going to make sure that every space in here is special.
You know, we tried to, we haven't done anything in the garage the past couple of years. So this year we said, let's take it in here. You know, we did this great little accent color, a little trim, you know, just to kind of, you know, one more piece to the whole house.
That's really nice. And I love this alcove over here now. And this, you know, the home is staged with furniture right now, but this actually stays with the home. What can you tell us about this?
It does. You know, again, we wanted to do something here in the garage, so we had a little trouble finding somebody to donate. So actually, one of our supervisors, Bill Pendell, him and his family stepped up and they purchased, you know, this workbench and these storage cabinets and donated it to this. So, you know, he's proud of it. We're proud. You know, it's just another example of how much love, you know, Landmark 24, the employees, the trades, the vendors put into these homes. And that's a fantastic touch. Any guy that's out there watching this and wouldn't like that, you know, you're crazy.
That's awesome. Thank goodness for him and his family. Thank you so much. Get that ticket right now. That could be your tool chest. Let's head inside here for a moment. We also have another member of the Landmark 24 team in here. And so we're entering the garage, obviously, and now we're in the great room. So we have kitchen over there, your eat-in area right here, and look at this living room over here. Lauren is part of the design team. It is so beautiful in here. So people may not be able to tell on television, but this is all one color in here. You all did a color drench. So what color is this?
We went with shoji white, and so that's what actually is in all the rooms in the home except for our foyer, the flex space area, and then the upstairs. We have a feature wall that has a different color, but the rest of the home all has shoji white, and we just kind of went with that to keep it more neutral, kind of more modern feel.
And it looks like, I mean, the tile's not shoji white, but it does complement.
Yes, yes. It's a very light tile. It does match what's in the primary bath, just to kind of keep it consistent throughout the home. But you can see with the 50-inch electric fireplace, it really is a very standout feature in this living room.
Gosh, it looks so beautiful. You all did a great job. Okay, this needs to inspire everybody at home. The tickets are $100. Scan that QR code. Call 800-383-9844 if you want to talk to a live agent. And stick with us for the next hour and a half or so because we're going to show you other parts of this home. We'll send it back to the studio for now.
Now, Time Saver Traffic, sponsored by Arrowhead Clinic, the accident doctors, where it pays to get well.
All right, now we are checking out traffic along Interstate 16 westbound and eastbound at Pooler Parkway in Pooler, flowing smoothly in this vantage point. You can see the gray skies out there, definitely looking like it wants to rain pretty shortly. But as we look to the east, we do have a delay on 16 westbound between Chatham Parkway and Dean Forest Road toward I-95 because of a vehicle in the shoulder. Extra volume, just taking some extra caution to head through that area with speeds down to around 20 miles per hour right now. Elsewhere across the area, no major issues. The low country looking pretty good as far as your drive times. Just some minor delays along Okatee Highway and May River Road. But if you're heading from downtown and heading into the direction of the airport, taking just about a half an hour right now.